continue on here with D. So I have x times x. That would get me, if I multiplied it, my x squared. And then 12. Okay, well, I got 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. So I'm looking at these numbers and I'm thinking, is there any way to add or subtract these numbers that I could somehow get -4? And yes, I can if I use those. So I can use 2 and 6. Now, the only way for me to get -4 would be to, subtract the 6. So 2 minus 6 would get me -4. Okay, so I'll put the negative there. I'll take a look. My diagonal's there. -6 times x is a -6x. X times 2 is a 2x. And if I add those, I have a -4x. All right, so -4x. That's what I needed. That is my middle term. So I can multiply. I have an x plus a 2 and an x minus 6. And again, the order doesn't matter. It could be x minus 6 times x plus 2. All right, let's continue on here. Maybe we can write this down. This is a -1, just in case. So I need to multiply the left two boxes. Need to multiply to x squared, so x and x. And then 12 again. Okay, so it's 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Now, is there any way to add or subtract these to actually get a -1? Yep, I can do that. 3 and 4 would work if it was 3 minus 4. So if that was negative, which would work here because I need to multiply the right side to get to -12. And sure enough, 3 times -4 does multiply to -12. So my left side multiplies to my left, and my right side multiplies to my right. So yeah, my left side to my left, my right side to my right, and now I can check my diagonals. So this is going to be a -4x, and this is going to be a positive 3x, which if I added them, get me a -1x, which is my middle term. So I've got an x plus a 3 and an x minus 4. So x plus 3, x minus 4. All right, let's try f here. So I've got an x and an x. That multiplies to x squared, so that's good. And then 18. Well, that's 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6, 4 doesn't work, 5. No, okay, so that's it. Which one could it be? I need to get a -7. So if I added and subtracted the 2 and the 9, if I went 2 minus 9, then I would get -7. And that works out quite nicely because 2 times -9, still, if you multiply those, you get my right side. You get the -18. So the left side multiplies to the left, and my right side multiplies to my right. And then my diagonals should be able to, x times -9 is a -9x, and x times 2 is a 2x, so they should be able to add up to the middle, which -7, yep, -7x. So let's just go here. Obviously, I've just changed a bunch of buttons around. That's weird. Okay, so that worked. X plus 2 and an x minus 9. There we go. And now we can move on to example 3. Let's continue on here with example 3. Factor the following trinomials. So we will do this again here. We can just create a little box. X and x, that gets us the x squared. 6, so 1 times 6, and I have a 3 and a 2. So you look at them and you think, okay, is there any way to get 5? And it's like, oh, well, yeah, if I went 6 minus 1, I'd get 5. But I need -5. Okay, well, I should do 1 and -6. 1 minus 6 would be -5. But I could also do it by going -3 and -2. Putting those together, if you added them, we get -5. So which one is it? Well, it has to multiply to 6. Okay, so -3 times -2 would indeed multiply to +6. So that's what I'm going to try. So I try 3 and 2 and make them both negative. And if I look at my numbers, I've got negative 3 and negative 2. And if you added negative 3 and negative 2, you would get negative 5. But I'm going to write down negative 3x, negative 2x. If you added those together, you would get negative 5x, which is our middle term. So that is good. So there we have it, x minus 3 and x minus 2. So is there anything different about this one? Nope. I mean, they both ended up being negative numbers because negative 2 times negative 3 still equal to positive 6, but really nothing's changed. And just to clarify, it could be x minus 2, x minus 3. We're allowed to switch the order. So keep that in mind for all of these. Okay, let's keep going on here. So x and x get me the x squared. Now 8, 1 times 8 gets me 8, and 2 times 4. But if you think about these two numbers, ignoring the multiply symbol, if you just think of the two numbers, is there any way to add or subtract these two numbers to get negative 6? Nope. Is there any way to add or subtract these to get negative 6? It's like, well, if they were both negative, then they would add to be negative 6. And if they're both negative, they still multiply to equal a positive 8. So I'm going to try those ones, negative 4 and negative 2. So x times x is still x squared. The left boxes multiply to the left. The right boxes, negative 2 times negative 4, multiply to the right. So that is preserved. And now all I have to do is, well, try to erase this. Try to multiply the diagonals. So that's going to be a negative 2x. This diagonal, x times negative 4, is a negative 4x. And if I were to add those, negative 2 plus negative 4, those are like terms, and I would have a negative 6x, which is my middle term. Now, I can just see here the x is actually missing. Well, I'll put it in here. It shouldn't be missing in yours, but it is in mine. So I have these two, x minus 4 and x minus 2. X minus 4 and x minus 2. Beautiful. Okay, the next one here. So I will go x, 5 and 2, or, it could be 10 and 1. Okay, let's try. So there's 1 times 10. Let's see, 1 times 10, 2 times 5. And so they both multiply to 10. But can I add or subtract those numbers to get negative 7? I can if I use 2 and 5 and make them both negative. Which would be nice because negative 2 times negative 5 is still going to equal positive 10. So negative 2 and negative 5. So my left side still multiplies to my left. My right side, negative 2 times negative 5, still multiplies to positive 10. And my diagonals, x times negative 2, which we write as negative 2x, and x times negative 5, which is negative 5x. And if we were to add those, we would get a negative 7x. So I have factored this, looks like correctly. My middle term is a negative 7x. So here we go. X minus 2 and x minus 5. So let me just write this down here. X minus 2 and x minus 5. There we go.